woke up this morning, the sky was gray, another storm.
Welcome to the Sudowrite plugins class. Today, we're going to take a look at all the variables within Sudowrite plugins. There's some new ones that we just recently got, especially with scenes, and I'm really happy that we have these here. The paper I've just shared with you has a listing of all the variables except for user input, which we'll add later. And at the very bottom is a spit out of all the models and a bit of a comparison between them of all the models you can use for plugins. So that we'll get to a little bit later, but I'm going to start with a basic plugin construction. And I actually want a little bit of insight into who's here. If you've never opened plugins and no idea how to get to it, give me a 1. If you've played around with plugins a little bit, you've used plugins, give me a 2. And if you've made your own plugins, give me a 3. 2.5 if you've made them, but you're not happy with them. Wow, good. Good combo. Nice. Mm-hmm. So we got a good mixture of people here. So this is good. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. And we're going to start from the plugins page. If you don't know how to get to the plugins page, then you can just go sudowrite.com/app/plugins, or you can reach it from, say, in here that says plugins, and it says explore plugins. Okay, and so this is exploring plugins, that's where you add plugins that you're interested in. The stuff at the top is interesting, but it's just flashy right now and it's kind of out of date. Beats are going away eventually, I think. Maybe not, who knows. And the ones that are most popular right now: Melody, MJ, Sex Scene in Detail, 9,497 users. Fantastic. So this is the most popular one. These are all up to date, like who's using it, who's which ones have people downloaded and still have installed. So it's a live information. So if you want to grab a plugin, you can add it here. If you want to know more about the plugin, you can just click on the plugin page here and it will tell you more about the plugin. So if I click on my recap, I've got all those users. It's low usage, credit usage. It says reads a chapter up to 20,000 words, prepares a recap that can be used as chapter glue. It reads selected words. So it's just whatever's highlighted. And it says you're the highlighter. This is the actual instructions that are inside the plugin. You'll be able to see those as well. I've left them open. So this plugin is published. It's public. Anyone can see it if they search for it. The plugin is also visible, meaning that you can see these instructions. If the plugin is not visible, you will not be sharing your instructions with other people. And it's fine to work it either way. I would appreciate if people use my plugin instructions to make their own plugins, that you kindly share your instructions with other people so they can also do the same and make our plugins better, because that's something that has really sort of lit a fire under the plugins at Sudowrite, is this ability to share our instructions freely. And if you don't, I love it, because it's okay, because I love the fact that people are sharing the ability to use each other's plugins at all. It's just made it a lot easier for us to tell each other what to do, rather than explaining all of this in a piece of paper. It's like, just add the plugin and then use it like this. So I love it. So that's my quick use of how to find plugins. You can search plugins here. I would like to say I'm here, I'm the host, but I have a fantastic co-host, Tomas, who is in the chat and will help respond to people's questions, and hopefully drop the link to this page, which is the Sudowrite plugins exploration, which just gives some basic information that we have available in plugins editor, but in an easier to read format. and maybe we'll add some more things to it later. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to do with plugins is I want to draw your attention to this. Let's see, create plugin button right here. And so all you have to do is create a plugin is to hit that button. I quickly through here, you'll notice that there's narrative and plot, character development, editing, revision, scene enhancement, world building, analysis, about marketing, genre specific, and multilingual. So it will, you self-select and put your plugins into these different categories. You can look at all of your plugins. You can look at the plugins you've added. You can look at the newest plugins that have been created. So one that was made last night will show up, pop right to the top of the list. Maybe it's slow. Recycle that. Okay. So I'm going to go to create plugin. Okay, everybody, first time off. Are you doing this with me? Give me a clue, Manon, perhaps, or Tomas. Let me know if people are going to the plugin editor with me.
Jade is following. Victory says yes.
Okay. Anyone with a 1 by their name, just sort of do this with me and understand that when we do things inside the plugin editor, like test the plugin, it doesn't cost us credits. So anything we do to sort of make your first plugin today, as long as you don't use it in Sudowrite, it's not going to cost you credits. It will tell you what they would cost. So if we do a little test, it'll tell you what it would cost. But we want to just sort of get our feel of this. So this is a test plugin. So I'm just going to give it a name. I'm going to give it a description, select text, and run plugin is what my easy direction is for, because that's all I'm going to deal with right now. We'll look at the visibility here. You see that also this is basic. We're going to do basic first, and then we'll jump to advanced. You'll see that the visibility is published so that everyone can see it, like on that page. If you are worried about it, number one, it won't be published until you hit the publish button at the bottom, but you can hit unlisted so that nobody sees it unless you want them to. So if it's unlisted, you can share a link to your plugin for your friends to use or to add to test, or you can just convert it to a published plugin at any time. You can make it published or unlisted at any time. This is the instructions visibility, hidden or visible. I want to make mine visible, but it defaults to hidden. And it wants you to select a category. I'm going to make one that's about editing and revision today. The category is not that important, but you need to choose one. Make a guess. No one's going to worry too much about it. There's a set of instructions. Now look, this is down here. There's like a testing area. See where it says publish plugin here. That's where you would hit. If you hit that, it's going to publish it and it'll take you out. After you've published it and you can edit the plugin, you can save it without getting kicked out of the editor. So the instructions that are in here, the default ones are not so great, but you can say something like brainstorm ideas, story ideas about the text with the text. So something simple instruction. This kind of prompting is all it is. It's not hard to make a plugin. It's going to be fun to work out all the other stuff in advanced, but the simple idea behind this is you don't have to actually know how to code. You just have to be comfortable enough with using the interface for creating a plugin and giving it your instructions about what you want. And the magic of this is that the way you talk is going, and the way you interact with it is really going to affect it a lot. So this plugins tend to make people happy because it kind of really groks what you're thinking. I'm not going to enable story Bible data right now. So it says Sudowrite will read the highlighted text or the text before the cursor and then follow these instructions. And so mine is brainstorm story ideas with the text. This is be precise and specific, as if writing for an assistant who can't ask you follow-up questions. So this is information for you for how to write this. So I'm going to work with that. Now I don't have to hit publish yet because I don't, but what I do want to do is I want to paste in some information and that's like my, the text that I would select. And so say the text I would select is space monsters. And I'm going to hit run the test. Now, what I really like about using the plugin editor and the test running is it gives you insight into what is going on under the covers in Sudowrite. You'll see what it does is it shows you two cards. One is the prompt and the other one is the card output. So the prompt starts with, you are a helpful writing assistant that will follow the directions of the user. You didn't write that. That was part of the basic plugin stuff. Manon, you want to say something?
Yeah, if you go up a little bit, we see the Story Bible little button. Normally it's an additional little varia, but if you go, yeah, enable Story Bible data, you want to tell them about that button? Because when we click to
Not yet. Not yet. I want to get to that after I do this one first.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to leave that to go because like this is, I'm trying to show it to people in a way that is less scary. And that's
Okay.
the reason we have the basic thing is to, okay, let's see it in a way that's less scary and that gives us very little information in here. So here's the words that I wrote. Brainstorm story ideas about the text. It says, you're a helpful writing assistant. Okay, that's nice. Here's a passage of text. This is the text that I selected that I had in my variable there, my selection box. And it just says brainstorm with the text and says, sure, here's a few story ideas based on the text Space Monsters, the Intergalactic Zookeeper, Invasion from the Void, The Last Space Ranger, the Galactic Bounty Hunters, and I hope everything makes you happy. And so it gives me some neat little ideas about the thing I had collected, and it cost me 102 credits, which isn't bad. And so a plugin like this might be fun to have around so that you can just select some text and ask it to brainstorm story ideas with the bit of text that you selected. So I might call that one brainstorm story ideas with by itself.
Does this use any credit, John?
It doesn't use credits when you're testing, but it will use something like 102 credits to do this amount of work. And so what I'm trying to point out is this part is the part that you don't see when you run a plugin from within Sudowrite. And this is the magic part that will give you insight into what Sudowrite is doing for you as a framework. And this is a good reason to learn or to see the plugin stuff work, because essentially what Sudowrite is doing is packaging up all of your story Bible, all of your text that it's decided is, or you've decided that should go with the prompt, and it puts it into a single prompt to send to the LLM. And then what comes back is what you work with. Everything in Sudowrite does that, even though it feels like you're putting something in the characters box, and it's like you have a little map of where all these things are in your mind, and it feels like they're all working sort of around a central idea of your story. It all has to be chopped up and put into this linear form so that it can be delivered, and then you can get your answer back. Okay, so since I love Space Monsters and the brainstorm story ideas with text so much, I actually want to publish that. So I'm gonna do if you hit the command, no, if you hit the option key, option space, no, space. Oh, and it's a option space for Windows. So stars, package, no. Do.
What you trying to do?
Trying to get the emojis to work.
Oh,
There. I
finally.
like emojis. It's a great idea to add emojis whenever you are.
You also have a question, John.
Ask me the question.
John, does the prompt that we do not usually see actually exist somewhere where it's recoverable by anyone, like at the development level or in the server somewhere?
So I think it can be recovered, like in the instance where something went wrong and you thumbs down a card. Then when you thumbs down the card, it sends that to the developers that say something was not so good about this card, and they can then see that thing that was sent that generated that card. But normally it doesn't go. It's not. They're not keeping it around for any reason. Though I think maybe it is kept around, but like no one looks at it unless somebody puts a thumbs down on it or a thumbs up on it. And you have to explicitly give permission for them to go into your account to look at the words in your documents. So you need to ask for help in order to give them permission to look at your stuff. But yeah, it's this. So yes, the stuff that you're sending in is sitting on the Sudowrite servers somewhere, but it's really just historical fact. It's not being used for anything like training. So I'm going to do stream brainstorm story ideas, select text, and run the plugin. And this is a basic plugin. And I'm going to publish that plugin because I think it's so great. And what I would like to, and this is where you get this page, right? So there's my brainstorm story ideas. And you can go back and edit it. You can ask it to do too much. Let's go to plugins. Plugins, there we go. If I want to find that one again, it's actually pretty easy because you can just go to yours and it should show up at the top. And I guess what I'm trying to suggest is that what would you use a simple plugin like this for? What would you accomplish with? What would you try to accomplish with it with? And what could you do with it? Because it brainstorm story, it has a much different things in there. That's Bruce's. Let's see, that's newest. Yours. Hey Bruce. Nice. Okay, so there's the one I made. And I was going to send this to you guys because I like to get 31 people talking. Do interrupt me. I sent it to us.
At the end of the class, you think you can help Jade? She's having some difficulties with her plugin, but
Yes, Jade, I will definitely. Are you going to be able to do it at the end of plugin at 5 o'clock, Jade? Is that
yes,
okay?
yes.
Good. Yeah, let's do that. So here's my brainstorm story idea thing. I gave you guys the link. I'm going to sort of copy that again because I'm going to make another iteration on this, but I want to make it a little different. Now, so you see that the instructions say preceding text and highlighted text. So maybe I don't actually want the highlighted text, the preceding text. So in order to do that, I'm going to have to go to an advanced plugin. But right now, I'm just going to go back to plugins. I'm going to create a plugin. I'm going to create a new plugin. I'm going to call it the same thing. Give it a little addendum. This one's going to have story Bible. Select text and run. Again, it's better to give it more description than that, but I'm being lazy. I'm gonna, oh, maybe I had mine unlisted. That was the reason why I couldn't find it on the page. So publish hidden or visible category. I'm gonna call it editing revision. I had brainstorm ideas. Ideas around the text. Notice I'm calling it around the text. If I just have brainstorm story ideas, it may or may not do it with the text. It may come back with a question. Like if I did that and my spaghetti pets and I hit run the test. So here's the passage of text, spaghetti pets, brainstorm story ideas. Well, it actually did that. So in a world where spaghetti magically turns into pets, a young girl must navigate the challenges of raising her spaghetti pet while keeping it secret from her family. A chef discovers a recipe for spaghetti that brings inanimate objects to life. Chaos ensues. Lily Boy wishes her a pet. He is surprised when his spaghetti dinner comes to life as a loyal and loving companion. Everyone has spaghetti pets. One child's unique spaghetti pet leads them on an adventure to uncover the mystery behind the special bond. So that's kind of fun. So that was 71 credits would cost just. Okay, but so that's, but sometimes you have to say around the text because that's what it's calling. Here's a, right? It says here is a passage of text. I didn't write that. That's part of the basic plugin. It's part of the framework. So this is the thing that Benon wanted us to look at was enable story ideas. And so maybe I want genre and style to be taken into account. I could have characters and synopsis, though I don't think that makes any sense. I just wanted to brainstorm stories, ideas around the text, but I'd like it within my genre or style. And now when I run the test, you'll see that you're a helpful writing assistant that will follow the directions. Here's a passage of text, spaghetti pets. The genre of the story is young adult novel. This is a default little testing package that's inside of the testing unit. You can change those variables here. There's a ton of them. They don't persist. So you can do a lot of work, but don't do a lot of work because the moment you leave this editor, your changes will be gone forever. Because this is not meant to be something that you work in a lot in terms of like trying to get work done. It's just to test the plugin that you're making right now. So the spaghetti mystery plot in a small town of mystery, spaghetti-shaped creatures appear as pets and cause chaos. Feel free to choose. Nice. So I love some of these ideas, and it's kind of fun with spaghetti pets. You'll notice the way this reads. So it says, here's this passage of text, and that's the text. Here's the genre of the story. That's the genre of the story that came out of the additional variables. The style of the story is use simple words and dialogue, brainstorm story ideas around the text. So how is this important, or what's important here is for you to see how what your plugin turns into. So what you don't see right now is you don't see what your plugin really looks like. But if you go to the Advanced tab, it will show you more about what your plugin actually looks like. So I'm going to ignore all the stuff above. Just come down to the user. And it says, here's a passage of text. Preceding text, highlighted text. The genre of the story is genre. The style of the story is style. In the genre and style of story. So maybe like that. So what you're doing is these are not labels. These are variables. They will be taken away from that command, and your words will be stuck in there instead of these. So this where it says the genre of the story, that's like the label. That's saying this next little section is called genre. This next little section is called style. And so you have to call them this way at the top and then use those words, style, genre, text, in the way that you talk about this. Now, you may want to break apart this. So here's the passage of text. But maybe I would do it like, here is extra context for the text. So that's preceding text. Here's the passage. Or you may not want preceding text at all, just get rid of it. Here's the passage of text, highlighted text. The genre of the story is genre. And it's getting that genre from your genre box in the story Bible. The style of the story is style. Brainstorm story ideas run the text and genre and style of the story. Cool. And if I want to run that test, you can easily see what it's doing in the prompt and what Sudowrite is packaging up to send to the LLM and the answer it gets back. So you can also, you could try it yourself. You could take the prompt and take it to ChatGPT or Claude or AI Studio, Google, and just feed it the prompt that it created and see that it works, see how it works. And that gives you sort of some context for what's happening inside of Sudowrite. So we're using plugins here as a way to understand the framework and the way writing framework works with the LLMs, so that you at least have some control over an idea about what it is you're doing and why it is you're doing it. So the more stuff that you stuff into your story Bible makes this prompt longer and longer and longer. And that's okay as long as you're sending it to an LLM that can handle it. But it gets more complicated if you're trying to work with very creative but small-minded models. So that's what we get. We get the spaghetti pet parade in a small town where spaghetti magically comes to life as pets. A group of teenagers discover that 3 spaghetti pets have secret powers, and they navigate the challenges of growing up and forming friendships. So these ideas are much more, they're more suited for, but no, we should keep some of these for our class, our workshop with mystery kids stuff or thrillers.
Absolutely.
So additional variables. Right now it says genre is young adult novel. We could call it cozy mystery. And we could say, instead of simple, we want florid. And this is, it's all about, I don't know. You can read what's underneath the additional variables if you want to know more about what it is. So I'm going to run that test. So here's the passage, spaghetti text, cozy mystery. The style of the story is use florid words and dialogue. Brainstorm story ideas using the text, genre, and style. Certainly, here are some story ideas based on the text spaghetti text and the cozy mystery novel genre with florid words and dialogue. The Spaghetti Pet Paradox. In a quaint village known for its charming pasta shops, a famous chef's prized spaghetti recipe goes missing after the mysterious arrival of a whimsical pet-themed sculptures. Local sleuth, a retired actress with a penchant for flowery language, must uncover the truth behind the disappearing dish before the annual pasta festival is ruined. Petals and pasta puzzles. When a rare bouquet of flowers with magical properties disappears from the town's botanical gardens, it's up to an eccentric botanist and her talking parrot sidekick to solve the floral themed mystery. Tomas.
What model are you using?
Good question. So
You're
using, I turned the advanced on so we can actually see this at the bottom of here. We have AI options. And we're just using ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo. So the first model at the top. This is the default model that if you're making a basic plugin, that's what it uses. Do we want to try a different model? We could go expensive. Let's go for Opus 4. If I run that test.
Also, try something crazy unhinged if there's any still available.
I tried that today with Arrhythmic or whatever it's called, and it didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So we got the Murder Most Marinara. When the Villages and Angel Spaghetti Pet competition ends in the mysterious death of Judge Cornelius Fettuccini, amateur sleuth Rosemary Parmesan must untangle a web of pasta-based intrigue. Someone has been training cats to perform elaborate tricks with linguini, but are these feline theatrics merely a smokescreen for something more sinister?
Save the poodle one. I want that one.
Okay, I'll save it. The poodle in the pantry. Lady Beatrice discovers surprise poodle Monsieur Baguette has developed an inexplicable obsession with arranging dried spaghetti into cryptic patterns. When these pasta portraits begin predicting local mishaps with uncanny accuracy, she realizes her pampered pet may be channeling messages from beyond the grave, or perhaps from the bird chef who once inhabited her manor's kitchen. Oh my gosh, I love these things.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Jade, what is your question when you see that?
Thank you.
Did I get Jade's question? Or were we saving that?
No, she was, what cloud model is less prudish? Did you answer that one?
Oh, good question. I'm not sure how to say. Right now, I haven't had problems. I can go into Claude and write complete smut in Claude itself right now. So I think that it's possible that the later models are less worried about smut. I believe that 3.7, I mean, I wrote really long form erotica with 3.7. So it's really more about the words and the kind of thinking that you want in it. You notice the difference here between a 2,400 credit result versus a 46 or 78 credit result. There's something that might be worth it. It's kind of hard to, do you need it like that? Don't know. Do I like it? Yeah, I kind of like it. So you might want to use Opus for planning and for cozies, especially for working out changes across a lot of stuff. But you may not want to write with it, but you might want to write with 4.0 Sonnet for more concise chapters, or if you're looking for that longer form book out of fewer chapters with more words, then you might want to go with Sonnet 3.7. But yeah, I haven't really had a whole lot of prudish Claude business recently, and but it is possible that the 4 models are less prudish. Again, I have not been constrained on the Claude website that much lately.
She says, okay, thank you. Don't forget to save and publish your plugin. You have the basic one, but that one hasn't been saved and published yet.
Okay, everybody wants this one? We want it with Opus? It's expensive. Okay, I'll say it's Opus. So Opus.
I really wish they has those duplicates so we can actually put every models for every plugin we do faster. Victoria says, I noticed ChatGPT is temporal chat is spicier than regular.
The temporal chat is spicier than regular. Now, that might be because of everything that's in your past history. Either with the way it was earlier, because earlier ChatGPT was less likely to provide smut. And so you'll get answers to your smutty questions saying, hey, I don't, I disapprove. So you'll get a like, I disapprove. And so it thinks it takes that into context. So I think what might be going on with the temporal is, or the temporary ones, is that it just doesn't have all that information to stop it. And so what you might want to do is clear your memory and then selectively add things to the memory, maybe. To try to get it to write with the smut and also remember a bunch of stuff about your story. Smoke up is really expensive. It's not that expensive. Okay, so I will publish that one. I feel like I keep publishing, but we'll talk about this later. Okay, we're not getting yet into the craziness. Okay, so that's there, that's there. Chat, that's there. Again, I've left these open. You can change them up. You can make new ones. It'll put your name on it. That's fine by me. You can imitate exactly what I did or change it up and add your own ideas in to what you want. Go. And I don't want to edit this one because we're going to leave it there. I'm just going to call it the same thing. I'm trying to get to this. So we've got 20 minutes left. And are there any questions now about what we're doing and why we're doing it? I hadn't used Basic in a long time. I'm like, oh, just ignore that. Don't do that. But then I started playing around with it and I was looking at it going, oh, there's quite a bit you can do with Basic that's not so scary. And I saw that some people publish their plugins. That's great. So nuanced. There's my Opus one. The other one, needs to be made more open, public. And there's Bruce Brothers, nice. This is one I made last night called alt phrasing, which I really like. Right there, I'm going to create a plugin. Opus 4, this one's not going to be Opus 4. Select text and run plugin. It's visible, it's published. Category is editing revision, maybe. It's just, we were using Brainstorm. And we're going to enable story data, we add genre, and we add style. In a way, I would suggest that you actually do start with the basic and you open up that enable story data and you choose whatever is here. Then it doesn't have everything, but it has some major cards from the story Bible. And then you don't have to add those sections at the top yourself. And that makes it a little easier to edit later. The other thing I will point out, because like when we run that test, if I don't have anything, it's going to complain. Is it going to complain? Let's see. Oh, it came up with a young adult novel featuring a high school student who struggles fitting in, finding their place in the world. The story could focus on themes of friendship, self-discovery, and overcoming obstacles. Small town young adult novel navigates complexity of family relationship. Wow, this is really slow. I don't know, it's so slow.
Yeah, it is. Just did you see Victor's question?
No, Victor, tell me what Victor's question is.
Can you make a plugin to mimic my voice, prose style?
So are you looking for the feature my voice or just your actual voice like you'd like it to be? Because there's a feature in
Mimi the tool, huh?
Yeah, maybe the tool. There's a feature called
Mimic the tool, sorry.
To mimic the tool. Okay, so maybe, and the question is, how would you feed it what you want it to look at? And we actually could possibly use something like one of the variables that was just introduced, which is a great segue to actually do that. So let me get to that in a little bit. We'll keep that in mind that we want to maybe try something that would mimic a document up to 20K in style, or use it as inspiration or something.
So we keep that question for after, you will do it now?
I want to do it after we get through this next little bit. Okay, so this
We have another question.
okay, wait. Okay, so the prompt here, right? I think the thing to take into account is that you're building the plugin. You're choosing which parts of the story you'll be able to look at for your plugin. And the big thing to remember is that it ignores all the other stuff that you're not telling it to look at. So this tells it to look at the genre, and this tells it to look at the style. But it's not looking at the characters. It's not looking at this brain dump. It's not looking at the whatever. So you have full control over what you're sending by using this editor. Okay, and then we made it advanced. We make it advanced. It opens up a lot of scary boxes, and I was going to start on that. But let me go to the question that it was waiting.
Yeah, where can I find information about advanced parameters such as the percentage or something like that? So all the percentage that you see, I guess.
These guys?
I would say that's what that person is looking for.
Okay. I will try to share something with you because I actually got an interesting info about that. It's in Claude. Yeah, I asked it some information about that. Is that in Claude or it's in copy down options, AI model, OCR artifact? That may be the answer at the end of here. There, complete guide. So let's it says it's published. I say copy that. And let me share that with you guys. Yes. Copy. Oh, I want to publish. It's published copy link there.
So that document will help people on how to use those temperature, frequent penalty, and presence penalty.
It has some insight. The main part that was important was let me see if it's at the bottom here. This was cool. This clear framework for fiction. It gives you an idea of the sort of the way that you could structure your prompt for a plugin. You might use this clear example. But there's other contradiction method, world building prompts. There's cool stuff in here, but let me see at the bottom it says this thing which I was looking for. It talks about best and
What question did
why.
you ask for getting this?
What question did I ask? Can you provide a highly researched artifact that provides insight into nuance for writing fiction with all of these models organized in a nice artifact with links and prompting ideas? So what I started with was I took pictures of every single cut double, every single model that's in the dropdown that you can choose from. And I told it to OCR that created the thing which I shared with you guys. And then I asked it for more information. Is it in here? Let's see, is it in here? Best practices, strategies, future trends, predictions. Essential resources, conclusion. Okay, it's not in here. It's in not sugar alternatives. AI API parameters overview. That's it. Okay, let's share that. Create link. Copied. Chat. Optical character recognition. Yeah, so it was making it from the, I took pictures of, because I couldn't get it to, I couldn't copy this easily. I tried making an extension to copy these things and it doesn't do it. I took pictures of all these things and then that's where that other thing came from. But that was definitely something I was asking about, was more information about the temperature and frequency penalty and what it's for. And so essentially, it's most important for open AI. It feels like it has something to do with that. And it seems Claude, Gemini, and something called Cohere that we don't have on our platform, that the temperature is most important and the other things are implicit. I have no idea how Sudowrite structures these numbers. I imagine where it says 0 to 2, it's been squished into 0 to 1 inside of what we're working with. So sort of cut ideas in half for these things to get some idea about what to do with it. So if you're looking for precise instructions, use a very small temperature, no frequency penalty, and no present penalty. For balanced conversational assistance, it's like 0.4 to 0.7 temperature, 0.2 to 0.4, 0.2 to 0.5. Creative writing, 0.8 to 1. So we're using 0.85 by default, and 0.5 to 1 frequency penalty. So that is interesting because our default is 0.25. So it suggests for creative writing and story prompting to up it. And so maybe we do want to up it for the kind of stories that we're writing, and the presence penalty 0.5 to 1. So it's a higher penalty here than what we're normally working with. Exploratory brainstorming, crank that up, it says. Frequency penalty, crank it up to 0.8. So we can't go to 1.5, but 1.8, 1 or 9 or something, 1.2 brainstorming. So what if we did that to this guy? So what if we did that to 9? We did that to 1. We did that to 1. What is that going to do to us? If I, lost in time, a group of high school friends discovers an old diary hidden in their school library. As they start reading, they realize the story is written within its pages. Some are connected to their own lives, leading them on an adventure through time where they must unravel secrets and solve mysteries to find their way back home. The Secret Society. When a shy teenager stumbles upon a peculiar book in a neighborhood store, she unwittingly unlocks the secret entrance to a secret society for young adults with unique abilities as she learns about this mysterious world. And summer camp secrets. Okay, so that would be with the default 3.5 turbo. Oh, sorry guys. 118 credits of super cheap. If we try 4, like let's do it with one of the biggest, 4.1, 4.3. Do we have 4.3? Don't we have 3.0 or something? There's DeepSeek. I love DeepSeek. DeepSeek is another one. Like Tomas was asking about going for something crazy. So the Aether William might be good for that. I'm gonna need something else in here. Sugar bears. Test. Oh, it actually works. A group of teenage siblings discover their childhood teddy bears have come to life. The bears take them on a magical adventure through different candy-themed landscapes where they must work together, solve puzzles, overcome challenges. Zoe is obsessed with the childhood sugar bear since she was little. Now at 17, it's become an unhealthy fixation as she transfers to a new school seeking approval for how quirky it is, but instead faces ridicule from her classmates about never growing up or moving on from her stuffed animal phase until one day the sugar bear starts talking back. The stuffing shakedown. When popular jock Zach steals Quinn's beloved plushie as revenge for beating him out as homecoming king nominees last week, minus doing so publicly, shaming him by calling him Quinn detention. By calling Quinn detention, principal says he won't get involved unless there's real consequences. Like other kids would miss out if you two fought over this again, right? What? Curly-haired troublemaker Sam sneaks off campus during chemistry class unnoticed after forgetting his prized possession, Luke Skywalker pendant, at home this morning. Emergency. He sprints all 8 blocks, only chased down midway, saying he'll be late. Mom, please let me explain. Okay, so that is a little nutty. And I put it down to the wacky Etherwing star cannon. But it's pretty wacky. I wanted to do 4.3. I thought we had 4.3 in here. Sorry, ChatGPT 3.0, but maybe we don't have it. So we'll try 4.1. Okay. And we'll try running that test. So, the Secret Snack Club. A group of friends at middle school form a secret club called Sugar Bears. Their mission is to sneak snacks into school and share with classmates who can't afford treats. Along the way, they deal with rival groups, suspicious teachers, and learn about kindness. Neighborhood mystery. In a small town, kids discover strange bear-shaped candy appearing around the neighborhood. They set out to solve the mystery. Who's leaving these sugar bears everywhere? The adventure brings out the other shy neighbors who become friends during their search for answers. Teen siblings start volunteering at an animal shelter, discover 2 bear cubs injured by poachers. The cubs love honey candles so much the volunteers nickname them the sugar bears. Through caring for them, the teens make new friends and help protect wildlife. Those are kind of fun. During a sleepover, several teens tell stories about magical sugar bears said to grant wishes, but only if you're brave enough to find one hidden in the woods at night. The adventure tests friendships as secrets come out along the way.
Tons of idea there, huh?
Tons of ideas. Okay, so that's a place to play around. Thanks for asking about the temperature questions. I forgot I had that information. We're coming up at the hour. I've got 5 minutes. I did want to at least show you what I was supposed to do today, which was the planetary plugins exploration. So the first page that I gave you, which is what are the variables? Because I think it's hard to look at it in the page, and it's easier to look at it on this page. So because of that wall of text, we're just going to talk about it now. Does this make sense to everybody? The highlighted text, the preceding text, and the previous document text. This is the new one. This is the special one. This is where if I was going to go nuts with trying to match my style, I might try to make a plugin that looks at the previous document, generates a style that uses it as a an example.
Style guide.
But kind of not a style guide. Like if I wanted to make a document that was a style guide, I would do it that way, right? Like the writer type, the persona that we use.
Yeah, it's very interesting. We can use that now.
But the previous document it's in plugins. It doesn't have to be used as a continuity chapter. I think that's kind of fun. So you can use that previous document or documents as this giant story Bible size thing. You know that you can fit 20,000 words into that document. You could put a small novella in there, and you could create a plugin that looks at that novella and makes a sequel. You could do a plugin or creates an idea for a sequel, or you can do a plugin that looks at the novella and uses it as a style, as a writing guide, maybe, or write it in the style of this thing. And so rather than coming up with a small number of words to tell it what the style is, you actually give it the piece of writing and you say, write it like that. And your plugin could use that previous document to do that kind of thing.
So how do you link that previous document?
That is, let's see, I have one of these. Squiggle beasts here. So if I'm in, well, this is a 100,000 word YA series called Squiggle Beasts. But if I'm click that 3 dots there, you can link the document to a chapter in the outline, or you can connect it to a previous document. So I can just say connect, and then I select the document, and it says continues from the end of, but I'm saying that if you're making your plugin, you can make your own directions, and you can tell it how to use the previous document. And so you choose which one is your connected from the end of document. The other thing to take into account is that it doesn't just look at the previous document, it will look at each connected previous document up to 20,000 words.
Hmm.
So if you built a weird story Bible that is just kind of like this giant or this large series of documents that are all linked and continued, and then you had it write using that story Bible instead of the other story Bible, you could do that. You could create your own sort of platform for how to use the previous documents. And that was sort of what I was trying to get to today, because that's that previous document, brand new one, very cool, very strong in terms of the kind of stuff you can do. Brain dump genre style synopsis. I'll point out that brain dump is something that people have hijacked for these types of purposes before, because it's pretty big for what it was at the time. And it was the kind of thing that you didn't really need after you had a synopsis. So the brain dump was available to be used as sort of an instruction set holder, or just a place to go get information that would not go away easy. But we all know what these are, and that's what is important for you as a plugin writer is, okay, the brain dump, the genre, the style, the synopsis, we know what those are. The characters and characters raw, characters without the raw, characters raw is the entire character set, everything that you got. Characters is optimized by the saliency engine. So characters takes into account some aspect of the selected words, perhaps. And if your character is in the selected words, then it will drag that character in. If it's not, and you've got a lot of words and a lot of characters, it will weed out characters that are not in the context of, say, the preceding text and the selected text. I think I'm a little iffy on exactly how characters works versus characters raw. I have a tendency to use characters raw if I'm working with larger models and I just know I want to get all the cards. Give me all the character cards, and I want to do something with these character cards. Likewise, I'm going to pull down to the bottom real quick. World building and world building raw, same thing. If you world building, then you may not get every card because the saliency engine will be maybe taking out cards that it doesn't think you need. World building raw will give you every single world building card into that giant single prompt that's being sent to the LLM. Okay, so that's important. But the next little bit, this is important. So is Story Bible active? Whether or not Story Bible is turned on. People use this. Why do they use it? If you want a plugin that will act differently, whether or not the Story Bible is active, then you need to figure out how to use is Story Bible active. And I think it's trouble. Myself, make one for the Story Bible and make one for not the Story Bible, and then you know that you've done it right. If you're comfortable with figuring out how to put an if-then statement into a prompted plugin, and there are people that will show you how to do it, Christina actually has an example of how to do this. And there are things you can do to work with this, but why would you do it? You want it if you want different things. Like if it's active, then you want to use all of these story Bible elements. And if it's not active, then don't go get those. That's different. That's next level, a little bit more coding than prompting to me. Chapter beats, though, this is what is really cool. This is different. So okay, so let's do outline first. So outline is the outline from the story about the entire outline, every single chapter. Scene summary is the section of the outline that's linked with the current document, if any. So you saw how we did the continuity link. Right above that was how you link your document with a particular chapter in the outline. The scene summary is from the outline. So the part of the outline that you're linked to, this is the summary of my scene. This is how the Write plugins work. So they look at your linked chapter and they write that chapter. And then this is new, which is chapter scenes extra instructions. And this one's called chapter beats. I don't know if it was called chapter beats before. I think it was just called beats. But this allows you to either work with beats or beats or scenes, and also give you access to the chapter scenes extra instructions that people work with. So if I was building a tool that would write in my style, I might look at something like a Write plugin to get some inspiration, but I would want to change it to add in chapter scenes and extra instructions so that people could use those extra instructions and scenes to help inform Write for that one chapter. And then maybe I would use the previous document text, but instead of using it as a continuity text, I would use it as a style reference or a tone reference. Tone is the feeling or the character of your narrator, or the way you're writing the prose. So I didn't know that before, and once I figured that one out, it helped a lot. That when you're in style and you say tone is this a snarky tone, the tone is the tone of the person or the feeling that you're getting about the writer. So not necessarily the character snark, but about the writer's appreciation of the characters, the snarky approach to writing the story. How is that is the tone. We are past the hour. I want to give anyone that needs to jump off a chance to jump off. I'm going to keep going for a little bit. You're free to stay. And also we're going to keep recording so that when this is done, we will be able to, you can come back to it if you have to jump off now. Thank you all for coming, though. It's been a really great time being able to share these things with you. Especially thanks for asking about the API parameters. Sorry, the AI, the heat temperature stuff. I totally is something I just looked into last night and was able to share that today. So thanks for asking for that. And Jade, I think maybe we should get to you now. Oh, actually, let me point out one other thing at the bottom here. At the very bottom, I've got LLM models. And what this is a comparison chart of all of the models that are available in here, where I just OCR'd all of this information and made it available so you don't have to like scroll through it. Then you can just use this to select it, but you can use this to read about it and maybe copy and paste it into ChatGPT or something and ask it about these different models themselves. Sometimes that can help. And it gives you the actual name of the model. These names are important. They refer to a particular drop of an LLM. You'll see there's different. This is a preview. This is the GPT-4. this is that turbo version, right? So if you know information about the model, you might get other people's feedback if you look into that model, but you can also ask ChatGPT or Claude or whatever to go and research this model and tell me how the best way to prompt it is, or what is it most useful for. Those kinds of questions are great to ask. Okay. You let's do your thing.
You have the question, I send it to you directly, so you should be all right. In the meantime, I'm going to go through in the chat, see if we miss anything.
Yeah, let's look at chat for a sec and then see. Okay.
If we miss any question, please rewrite the question so I make sure I don't forget anything for John.
Yeah, anybody can copy and paste it in. I'm cool. Yes, the class. Once I stop the recording and quit the class, it's actually pretty quick now.
I already done that, Bear. I already sent your question to John directly to him. So you have Jade question and Bear question should be directly to you. If not, I can send them back again.
I think you're gonna send back again because it doesn't separate them. Okay,
Got
let's
it?
see what I didn't get it yet. Somebody
Okay.
copy and paste it because at the bottom I can't find it.
Yeah, I wish there was a way to find. I have Bear right there. It's in the bottom. of
Okay,
chat
okay, I got it. Thank
there.
you.
And I'm
make
going
sure-
to back.
Have you seen it? Try what happens when you have a lot of extras pulled in, customized continuity callback JSON model, and the plugin doesn't handle that much. I'm wondering because some users have basic setups, others have a lot of advanced manipulating to pull in other content. Yes, with I've seen it more with writing longer text with models that can't handle the longer text. So if I'm using something which is, and you see it now because if you write longer than 20,000 words using not auto write, but draft, say, once you get past those 20,000 words and it can't see beyond that, it thinks you haven't written the beginning of the book and it tries to fill in for that stuff that it sees is missing, and it's annoying. That's what I remember. And then what is it? Are you asking what it looks like? Yeah, see what happens when you have a lot of extras pulled in that you don't need. So I think what you end up is that it just feels wrong. I mean, it's trying to do something that you did before that it's missing, like a prologue or a first or second chapter or something like that, and it will go and try to fill in. It doesn't start over, I don't think, though I have seen that happen, where it's like it goes back to chapter 1 because it doesn't think chapter 1 was written, which is weird. But I feel like it's that kind of information. Have I hit it in plugins often? No. I feel like with that Star Channel thing that we were playing with, that's kind of the kind of stuff that you get where it just goes wacky. So even though it wasn't a lot of information, we know that it's small and we know we could overload it pretty easy. So if I switch it to Etherlink Star Canon, what does it say? If I, it's not easy to turn on if you're not in basic. But you could feed it the outline. characters. Be it characters raw. This is the world building raw. And so if you run that test, it's kind of fun when you fill that stuff in, because then you see all the stuff that fills in, right? This is Patchet Chest Sugar Bears. This is the outline. It's given this entire outline. It has nothing to do with Sugar Bears, of course. And this is the world, which is the Willow Creek. So it's all the world building cards. And then it's the character cards. So it's all in there. The story, the genre, the style is brainstorm ideas. So Jake and Max's initial encounter with Bigfoot could be more dramatic. Maybe they stumble upon him in distress after an injury. So it's ignoring, because I've given it extra context, it's ignoring the beginning. And the beginning is the very first words, right? Here's the passage of text. Maybe it's ignoring that you're a helpful writer, but it's certainly not, it forgot what we're doing, which is taking sugar bears and giving me ideas about sugar bears. So it's instead giving me ideas about the world. Salmon Hunter's backstory could include redeeming himself for past mistakes by helping Jake protect Bigfoot from further danger. The climax could involve. So there's nothing about sugar bears in here, which is what I was kind of asking it. Seeing details, you know, that's it's giving me advice, which isn't bad. But it's, I feel like I've kind of triggered it by adding in all this other information that's unnecessary. If I was going to write the plugin a little differently to give it the context, but not have it forget, I might do something like passage of text, reiterate it down here. And then if I run that test, it says the shears patches there. It has it up here too, but then it has it down here at the bottom. And now I imagine I'm going to get more sugar bear information. Yeah, here's some based on the text sugar bears. The young girl named Sugar Bear has magical powers. She's dangerously ill as a baby in the hospital. And it's sort of ignoring some of that stuff. Like there's how would I want it differently? Tomas, I do want to keep recording. Is that okay? I mean, I think that it makes sense. If you need to leave, it's okay. But it's I was gonna just leave it because people will die and drop off if they need to. Okay, so brainstorm story is about the text using the context of the entire story so far. So I think it's possible that it was ignoring it there. I need to be careful about which model you use when you read 20K words because context window issues. Yes.
Are you read Victor question?
Where was, oh, is it Victor was telling me that you need to be careful about which model to use?
He's basically
so
asking which one you're supposed to be careful about.
Okay. So the one I'm using, definitely be careful because it's got a smaller head space. The wonder of cryptic creatures, the true meaning of friendship. Anything about sugar bears in here? Even though it says it's going to do sugar bears. Life stages. No, No, I don't feel like it picked it up.
No, it did not.
But it says if you'd like it remembers it because it's in the instructions here. You know, if you want more things about something with sugar bears, let me know. But it didn't actually come out with anything about sugar bears. So that was the information that's available in the you can see it in the drop down, but it's also here.
Your plugin there seems that you went and get the stuff into the Story Bible, because I saw there the some of the stuff which is in the basic Story Bible. When you do your plugin, if you don't change them, you get the same character there. Seems that you have a mix of Sugar Bear and the Story Bible, which is the original one. You're welcome, Bruce.
You'll see that GPT-4, it gives you this sort of context limit that has a 6,000 words input and output. Usually it's going to be the cheaper models, though that's not always true. This is one of the inexpensive. It has 3,000 words input and output limits. 3.5 turbo 16K. These were really good at the time, and they're not bad now. It's just that they have their limits, right? So there's no 20,000 words back you can read there. The amazing ones is GPT-4.1 has a half a million word input, and it also has it for GPT-4.1 Nano, 500,000 word input. So you can look at an entire book or an entire series of books, or a series. You can look at 26 books or science. You can look at a lot of books for 500,000 words, and then you can spit out a next one in the series. So theoretically, you could do this. I have not been able to actually get the models to spit out 20,000 words. I'm trying, but I'm not getting that yet. It may work better if you actually do have this huge context. And this would be something that you could definitely work with a series of documents that are all linked. And then you can give it 400,000 word limit instead of a 20,000 word limit, right? So yeah, why don't we at some point we should try to make a 4.1 model. We could try with the low cheap ones, see if it works, and just connect everything up. Manon, sorry.
For Jade there?
Yeah, let's do Jade.
I sent you the Notion that she sent over because she's having a hard time to share a screen. She wants to know where that note is from. I think it's one of your old Notion, but I don't recognize any of the Notion we did together which has this information, so it must be one of your older one. Is that what you're looking for, Jade? Where is the original one? Mine, okay. So, no, that's yours. So, but what's the information you said you send is for a plugin? To put that info, okay.
Okay, so
that's her plugin, and she wants to know about no duplicate on that. So I sent you the Notion.